Have you ever kept trying to live from an identity you've already outgrown? Sometimes when we outgrow an identity and haven't yet realized what's happened, we keep trying to live our life the same way we always have, even though it no longer works. And that can cause confusion and heartache. Hi, I'm Diane Hatz, and welcome to A Writer's Life. During my last and biggest metamorphosis, I didn't understand what was happening. I thought I was struggling and fighting against the world. And I thought the solution was to push harder, to work more, and to try to jam myself into clothes that didn't fit anymore. And man, did I push. I pushed so hard that I ended up flat on my face. I think you could say I could not read the writing on the wall. I tried to approach my life the same way I always had, which was to work nonstop and barrel on through until I got to where I thought I wanted to go. I'm both blessed and cursed with tenacity and perseverance. I will keep at something until it or I fall apart, or at least I used to be that way. In several of my other videos, I talk about what happened to my career and how it all fell apart. I spent years blaming other people for what they did to me. And believe me, they did some bad things. It was a total Lord of the Flies experience. And I drowned in shame, which I still don't logically understand. I was working my butt off, built a successful nonprofit and career. And no, I'm not perfect. I was not a very good manager. I was inexperienced and had no training, but I did the best I could. Yet I was so filled with shame over what happened, and I was the one who got hurt. Anyway, side note, if you've lost your job or your career or relationship and you're humiliated over it, you've no reason to be. What happened happened, and there's nothing wrong about what you've gone through or what you are going through. It's taken me until just recently to understand everything that happened wasn't about them. It was about me not seeing that I had changed and grown out of the person I'd been. And I had no reason to feel bad about it or feel bad about how desperately I tried to hold on for the years that I did. The universe, or whatever you want to call it, your higher power, it was screaming at me to leave the job and the life I was in, but I couldn't. I was stuck. So I got a little help from unseen forces and was catapulted into the unknown. When I moved to New Mexico, I still didn't get the message. At least I did get the message that I needed to leave New York City, and I did. I think the 6 alarm fire on my block only days before I was leaving woke me up to the fact that I had to go, and I had to go then. And fortunately, I was. But when I got to Santa Fe, I tried to keep my nonprofit Change Food going. I was looking for grants and trying to build new programs. I was also known for producing TEDx Manhattan events, so I wanted to put on big events here in Santa Fe also. I was flailing, but I didn't know what else to do except push and try to force things into existence. I met with people constantly. I enrolled in 3 business accelerator programs. I had meetings with retired executives at SCORE, constantly read and researched. I was working so hard and I was burnt out and I didn't know it. I was dizzy and stressed out trying to figure out how I was going to survive. My old way of working was to keep pushing and working until everything fell back into place. But this time, it didn't. The more I forced myself, the more disconnected and exhausted I became, and the more burnout I felt. It took a long time for me to realize that I was trying to keep a life alive that I had moved past. It wasn't a good or a bad thing. I had simply changed, and I wasn't catching up to who I had become. I was humiliated and thought I was a failure. So when the day came when I realized I couldn't keep Change Food going and that I didn't even have a role in the food movement any longer, I collapsed on all levels. I spent many months taking long drives out in the desert and exploring New Mexico. It was about all I could do. Letting go is incredibly hard, and what I didn't understand at the time was that I was grieving. I needed to mourn before I could move on because I wasn't just losing a job, I was losing an identity I'd built my entire adult life around. I wasn't a failure. I'd done nothing wrong, But I confuse grieving the loss of who I thought I was supposed to be with being a failure. I had this outer image of success that a lot of us are brought up with, and it's taken years to see I was running down the wrong path. Happiness really does come from within, not from something you get from someone or somewhere else. A couple of years into my healing, I unexpectedly got invited to a private gathering of key people in the food movement. It was all the movers and shakers. By that point, I was writing fiction, but I was encouraged by the organizer to still come. So I agreed so I could see if I really wanted to stay involved with food or if I really wanted to go. I actually ended up going to two of these mini conference things, workshops, just to see how I felt or how I'd react. I'm still learning to trust myself, so I went to two of them to be sure. People were nice. It was great to see some colleagues from before, but I felt awkward. I didn't have anything to offer, and I realized that I didn't fit in anymore. One very nice person mentioned my work in New York, and I ended up getting extremely emotional. Like I cried all night long, and the next morning I knew I was done and that life was over. Have you ever walked back into a situation you used to belong in and felt deep down that it wasn't a part of you anymore? Crying isn't a bad thing. I think it's necessary and healthy to process emotions, and I needed to release all the trapped pain. I needed to grieve what I hadn't been able to because I was trying so hard to keep something going that wasn't there anymore. And I feel like I got the bulk of it out that night because I came back to Santa Fe, found a healer, and have been 100% focused on shifting the way I see and act in the world. Don't get me wrong, I still work really hard, but I'm learning to understand the science much better now, and I'm learning to let go of trying to control things and let things happen as they will. And I see now that a lot of the pain from New York was me needing to grieve, to honor what I'd accomplished, even if no one else did, and to let it go with love, not feel forced out and abused. And I'm making progress. I just put my Women Writers in the Wild event on indefinite hiatus. I'm leaving a little room in case I want to start it up again. It was a wonderful experience, but I started feeling more called to other things. Not too long ago, I would have stuck with organizing the monthly events forever, even though it wasn't bringing me joy anymore. But now I see it served a wonderful purpose, and I'm now moving on toward my next thing. Even the Hearth Network. If you watch really early videos here, I mentioned that this is the Hearth Network, et cetera, et cetera. I put together a whole plan to build a community and events for women in midlife, and I'm seeing now that it's morphing into something different. I can't really talk about the new project yet, but I wouldn't be putting this new venture together had I not formulated Hearth and not seen the signs that I'm moving into a different place. I guess this is a really long way of saying I'm learning to go with the flow. It's such a common phrase, but I understand it more now. When we're trying to keep ourselves in an identity we no longer have, we're swimming against the current and making things harder on ourselves. We have a choice: keep swimming upstream against the current and burn ourselves out, or after we do what we can, let go and be carried by the current of life. And look, letting go and changing is hard. There's safety in familiar things and our routines. And being in that space between who you were and who you're becoming, man, it's hard. It is hard. There's no two ways about it. You don't have much or anything to hang on to, and you have to struggle with that voice in your head that says you aren't good enough. I want you to know that if you're going through this, you're not alone. So many people in their 40s and 50s redefine their life and what it means to them. Some by choice, most because they have to. Just keep moving forward as best you can. There will come a time when you see what a blessing it is and how so few people have the courage to reinvent themselves. If you've gone through a big change, let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for being here, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, stay true to you. Thank you.